Today's podcast is brought to you by Carter Lumber. Carter Lumber has over 180 locations. They are looking for local Class A, Class B, and non-CDL positions. Go to carterlumber.com/TalkCDL and fill out the short form. Again, that's carterlumber.com/TalkCDL.
Also, check out NCI at 888-311-7076. They are looking for regional and OTR company, experienced and student drivers welcome. Again, the number is 888-311-7076.
Attention truckers and trucking companies. For help with cash flow, go to tabbank.com/TalkCDL. For invoicing and factoring, trucking companies, go to tabbank.com/TalkCDL. Truckers, if you're in a pinch and you need parking, sign up today for free at truckparkingclub.com. They have daily and monthly rates. Landowners, if you wish to rent a few spaces, you can also sign up today for free at truckparkingclub.com.
So tell me about this controversy deal going on with Minnesota and a couple truckers that are suing them over not being able to bring their gun into Minnesota.
That's right. There is a Texas-based company called the Austin that has filed a lawsuit on behalf of two truckers from the state of Texas against the state of Minnesota, arguing the fact that they are not allowed to bring their firearm into the state.
Okay. So I went ahead and looked it up, and it's really kind of a weird law Minnesota has. They're the only state out of all states that is in the silver map. Everybody else is blue, green, or red, depending on their permit. And it says here that if you're a CCW, if you're a carry, you have a concealed carry permit, you could come into Minnesota with your gun if you're one of 15 states. So Minnesota only likes 15 people, 15 states. Everybody else, they're kind of prejudiced. So it doesn't even make sense. So I understand why the Texas guys are saying this is BS.
Yeah, the one guy is from Texas. The other guy actually also has a Florida and a Georgia concealed carry. So are they having an issue with people in the South?
No, it's really not. Here's what's weird. Okay. I would say, because, they take North Carolina.
That's not south enough.
That's not south enough?
They get snow.
Well, Louisiana's right on the Gulf. So, I mean, yeah, it's what doesn't make sense is why they would say certain states can't bring a gun into their state, especially for a trucker. Because truckers, you know what I mean? It's a trucker that has a carry permit should be able to go anywhere he wants to, being that the truck is his home and he's defending his home if there's any problem. You would almost think you would want people that are on the road to be, have a little bit of defense in their truck. But here's the 15 states that they allow. If you live in one of these states, Minnesota's cool with you bringing your gun. But if you don't, Minnesota's going to arrest you. It's kind of stupid. Alaska, California, Ruth Ann.
I didn't even know they had a firearm law. I mean, I thought they were no guns allowed, period.
Exactly. I thought California was like a different world.
They are. They're a very different world.
Anyways, if California, Connecticut, Hawaii, Idaho.
So the only way to get to Minnesota from Hawaii is to fly. So they're saying you could pack a firearm in your suitcase, fly into Minnesota, and then carry it around.
Yep.
I don't know many Hawaiians that would want to go to the state of Minnesota. It's cold there. They don't want cold.
Illinois, Kansas.
They're kind of neighbors. I can understand that.
Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Montana, Nebraska, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Rhode Island, South Dakota, and West Virginia. Those 15 states are allowed to bring their guns to Minnesota. I'm going to load mine up and just take a ride through the state. It's kind of stupid. What's funny is the reciprocating states, which are the ones that allow Minnesota to come into them, is 30 states.
Yeah, Florida allows them.
Yeah, so 30 states say, come on, we don't care. But Minnesota, stay out, we care.
Yeah, their list is really weird. I mean, it's like they're, okay, I'm going to allow the Louisianans because they got really good Creole. You know, their food is really good, so we're going to allow them up here with their guns.
You think that's why they're doing it?
I think that's why they're allowing some, because I can't figure out why they would allow all of them. I mean, to accept California, but not some of the other states. I like California people. Some of them are nice.
No, I met some nice California people.
But in general, some of them are really a little odd.
I've met some odd ones.
To allow them, you know, I don't think you had Colorado in there. They didn't accept Colorados.
Let me look. I don't know if it was.
I don't remember hearing that.
No, it wasn't. No.
See, that's the only thing I can understand. They don't want certain Coloradans in there.
Okay, that didn't. Anyways, so
because they're peace, they're all like high and like peace loving, and you know, they're chilled.
Yeah. Okay, so look, what doesn't make sense is the any state should allow trucking, a truck driver that is his life is living on the state. He's bringing goods to your state. He's bringing your freight. He's you know, coming there and buying fuel. You know, in fact, a trucker coming into your state is someone that is spending money normally. He's going to at least probably buy a meal. He's at least probably going to, you know, sometimes buy fuel. And most of the times, because you're in Minnesota, they're coming from somewhere else to your state. There's not many that are just passing through Minnesota. Unless, of course, you pick up a load in Wisconsin and you're going to take it to North Dakota, right? And you're going to go through Minnesota. Or you pick it up from Illinois. You know, you can come through Minnesota to get up there to North Dakota. But most of the times when you go to Minnesota, you're going there to deliver a load as a trucker, okay? So they should respect the fact that these are working men and women that are bringing goods to their state and spending money and paying road tax to their state. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know me and the Second Amendment, okay? I believe that every trucker should carry a gun. And I'll tell you somebody else I have a problem with is a trucking company that tells you that you can't have a gun in your truck. The only ones that legally should not be allowed. Well, I shouldn't say should not be allowed. I'm not their judge. But the only ones that I know that are legally not allowed to have a gun is somebody that's a felon. A felony. Anybody that's got a felony is not allowed to own. I don't think white collar, blue collar, or anything there, because I know one right now that his felony was just taking a bribe when he was in the Army, and he has a felony, and he's not allowed to own a gun ever. He's not allowed to own any guns. So therefore, that would take him out of the picture. But if you're a trucker and you don't have a felony and you want to carry a gun, you should be able to. And I think if the law, here's what I really believe, if the law says it's legal for you to carry it, to me, I think federal should supersede the state laws. Do you see what I'm saying? But it doesn't, because each state decides for what they want, which that's why we're called the United States. Each state gets to decide. But I almost think that the gun law should be mandatory federal only, to where they say, look, this is all across the country. These guys should be able to carry. And I don't think a trucking company should have the right to make a rule. This is just my opinion, okay? Because I know trucking companies, I'm going to get emails, but I don't think a trucking company should have the right to tell a truck driver that he's got to be gone over the road, going into places like, you know, these cities, especially where you get mugged, okay, where crime happens a lot, and they look for people that are out of state. I think that a truck driver should be able to defend himself.
I think that you are correct. And I also think this. If if the state law can't supersede federal law when it comes to drug and alcohol with the FMCSA, then they should not supersede the carry laws when it comes to the Second Amendment. If a truck driver has to follow the federal laws when it comes to FMCSA and drug and alcohol testing and what's required there, they should be able to carry their gun and use the Second Amendment. I don't think that the trucking companies should be able to take that privilege and honor away from a truck driver, because then the trucking company should be able to say, well, you know what, we're going to hire anyone we want, and if they have a drug failure or if we want them to be able to take oxycodone for their pain or whatever it is, they should be able to have that right. They don't, because FMCSA supersedes that. So I think it should be the same call. I think that truck drivers should be all federal, no matter what, straight across the board. If they want it, they can't go back and forth.
You know, at first I thought you were being a little silly, and then I realized you're right. You know, if that law supersedes, where a trucking company can't accept, you know, somebody that's, and if that's state law, federal law, everything actually, well then why should they be able to say no if the law is they're allowed? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So yeah, no, I agree. So therefore, we both agree that if you're a truck driver, I don't care if you're a truck driver or just a regular passenger guy, you should be able to drive into any state if you have a carry permit and not be in danger of getting arrested. So I would tell everybody, if you're going into Minnesota, make sure you're on this list, because if you're not, you have to have your gun separate. I don't think that, you know what I mean, most laws, and I would check into it, I should have checked, but most of the states that don't accept, at one time, most of them didn't accept it. And the rule was you had to make sure your gun was like in your glove compartment with your ammunition in a lockbox, or vice versa, and they couldn't be within your reach. Mm-hmm. So I would just tell any truck driver that that's probably what I would go by for now. And then I would also, you know, just double check on all of that before you go into Minnesota if you have a pew-pew in your truck.
Well, and I agree, you have to be, you know, no felon. I understand there's some felons that are titled that, but they're nothing aggressive, nothing that's harmful to another person. And I think that you should be able to carry your gun if you have nothing against you as far as aggravating, or that shows you have a chance to use that in a temperamental way. You know what I'm saying? You'll
have to go and argue with a judge on that one, because that's an actual law. So
no, I'm saying, and all I was saying is that
you think that somebody that doesn't have a violent crime should be able to carry a gun even if it's a felony. Pretty much, right?
Pretty close. I mean, I understand that there's some that, but that's the law, and I understand that. That's what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying there.
I agree with you.
I'm just saying that because I was having a conversation with someone, and that was one of the things that they came up saying about how they don't feel like with guns. I said, well, listen, guns, anybody can get a gun. The problem is if they're doing it all proper and legally. So we can't control all of that. But I think when it comes to truck drivers, they should be able to federally carry their gun anywhere they wanted to without having any consequences from the states.
Right. Okay. And I agree 100%. So let's move on.
Moving on.
Okay. Did you not tell me the ice pick bandit hit again this week?
He did.
In Georgia?
He did.
So, did he hit somebody and then the guy got in the truck and went down the road and had a blowout?
Yes.
And what I didn't understand was you said that when the service truck got there to work with the guy that was struck by the ice pick bandit, he had all of his tires flat.
Right.
So you had mentioned this is probably a good episode where we talk about pre-tripping.
Yep.
I mean, in all sincerity, guys, you know, Ice Pick Bandit, your ass needs to be caught. I posted his face all over the place the other day too. People are sharing it, man. And this guy you could just see this guy in the face. Somebody's got to know what this guy looks like. Y'all just need to go on TalkCDL's Facebook page. Go on, join our group page. We've got like 14 or 15,000, I think, in that membership, and it's free. Just join TalkCDL's group page and look and see It's actually on our big page too, on regular TalkCDL or Facebook /TalkCDL, whatever the hell it is. But go on to that and scroll down until you see the Ice Pick Bandit. And look at this. One of you guys know this guy. This guy's he's a menace to trucking right now. But, I want to concentrate more on this guy that, was it in Macon, you said?
Yeah, it was on I-75, and he just left the Loves there at Macon, and he was on I-75, and he ended up having a blowout. Let's see, I'm pretty sure it gave the mile marker number.
Okay, so let me just say this real quick while you're looking for that. When you don't pre-trip your truck, a couple things can happen. Now, we know that every now and then somebody pulls pins in a parking lot, right? And if you get up lazy and you think, well, I only, I didn't really leave my truck, blah, 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 I'm going to go down the road. And maybe somebody pulled your pin, you go to pull out and your whole trailer drops. That's a bad thing. But this driver that just literally is in the news by getting every one of his tires hit by the pick, okay, guess what? If he would have got out and did a walk around, I guarantee he would have heard something or seen something. All you have to do is use your tire belly, and unless the guy just hit him, okay, and it sounds like, Ruthann, the Ice Pick Bandit probably only hit the guy right before he woke up because obviously his tires were not flat enough that he would feel it while he was driving, because you would think that he would, but you go down the road, you have a blowout, and how embarrassing is that, knowing that a walk around, and I really believe he didn't do a walk around, because I'm telling you, man, when you pop someone's tire with a pick or a knife, you're going to hear air leaking somewhere if you do that walk around. Something's going to be off. You're going to be able to figure it out. Guaranteed.
Oh, well, if you know your truck, definitely, you would definitely feel something minor that's not normal. But it said on Friday that the Macon Bibb police confirmed that they had received 3 calls from truck drivers mentioning tire vandalism, and that the description of the attacks matches other incidents as the tires that have been punctured with the small tool that's really hard to detect. Now, they said in this article that they have received reports as far as from Texas and Missouri to I-75 in the Atlanta and Gainesville area of Florida as being the vandals. So recent, up in, I guess, September, they said they're on the Texas Arkansas border, the Texarkana area is where they received some of the last far west areas that they have known cases of. So
this guy's traveling.
He is. I think what it is I really do agree with you. I think this area, the Macon to Gainesville area of I-75, I think that happens to be more of his home area, but I think he travels, and when he goes out into the other states is when he just decides to do a little rampaging up that way and then comes right back here. I think that's why we have more activity in our area.
Here's what I would ask you trucking companies that are paying attention to this podcast. Pull up the areas where this Ice Pick Bandit's hitting and see. I mean, I know they probably don't want to do this, but wouldn't it be something if, ironically, there was one of their truck drivers that's always in that area?
Oh, that would be really cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's like a way of doing it forensically. Mm-hmm. If you trace that, and I know, so it sounds like between Georgia and Texas, because you said Texarkana area, right? So, and then if you circle back to Tennessee, I know he had some in the Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Sounds like this guy's running along the I-20 and the I-40 corridor. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like he's running I-75, I-40, I-20, and I don't know if he's been down on I-10 or not, but it sounds like this guy is running, in those states, because Ruthann, I don't know if he's gotten up into Kentucky, but it sounds to me like you got Georgia. It sounds like you got Tennessee. It sounds like you got Alabama. Now, I didn't hear of anything in Mississippi or Louisiana, but we've got Arkansas, which is over on the Texarkana area. So this guy is really running on that South Midwest to Southeast type of a running. So if you trucking companies can put it together and come up with, whoa, wait, look at this. Hey, Bill, it looks like Wilbur's been in all these states at the same time. I wonder if it's him. By golly, we ought to look at the picture. I'm telling you, guys, if you just look, there's a good chance somebody's going to find out who this guy is just by, he's got enough places that he's been. And the reason I say that, Ruth Ann, is because it sounds like he might be a trucker. It sounds like he's traveling enough to where he's a trucker. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
I mean, for the longest time, I thought he was just a guy that hated truckers. But I'm almost thinking he is a trucker. And I would like to know also the companies that he's hitting. Is there a pattern with that? Is there?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like
some of them are like owner ops, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could be leased onto these companies if he's hated the certain companies, but it really hasn't. Nobody's picked up on that and said, yeah, it's always been 3 different companies that are getting whacked. Sounds to me like this guy's just. I'm telling you, this guy's like a thrill killer. But anyways, guys, let's catch the Ice Pick Bandit. Go on our Facebook page and check him out, and let's hunt this guy down. Hey, you trucking companies, do me a favor. Go on TalkCDL's Facebook page and look at the Ice Pick Bandit's picture. There's literally a picture of this guy, skinny white guy, and it's a night picture, so it's not the best. It's almost like the Bigfoot pictures, Ruth Ann, where you can't tell if it's fake or real, but this guy's real. Anyways, Ruth Ann, moving on.
Moving on.
The only thing else that I want to talk about is kind of weird. It's this the EPA and the rules that the West Coast has made over the last couple of years, stating that they are going to demand these zero emissions by certain year, and we've got to be running all battery and electric vehicles and all this other garbage by a certain year. It's already affecting the state. You would think I'm about to say California, but it's not. It's Oregon. And it says, here's the article. You can actually go over to CDL Life and read this article, but I wanted to bring it in for one of our topics here today, Ruth Ann. It says Daimler, okay, they make trucks. It says stops selling diesel-powered semi-trucks in Oregon due to new environmental rule per report. Now listen to this, and I believe it's 7%. What they're stating, and this is really the gist of it, they're stating that all vehicles sold from now on, right, that are semi-trucks, 7% of them have to be electric. You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy? So they're telling these dealers what they have to sell, what they have to push. And what's really funny, you and I were just at a Honda dealer talking to this Honda dealer we know, and what they say about their new electric Prologue. It's struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, they are.
They're struggling, and so you're telling manufacturers and dealerships what they have to sell. This is what they're doing. This is literally what they're doing. What they should be telling the people is you have to order this amount. And of course, what's really funny is the United States is supposed to be we the people. If we the people say we don't want that, we don't care. Okay, we don't want that.
They should at least have the choice.
If we the people are saying we don't want that, I don't believe Oregon and California and all these other wacko states should be able to push what we the people don't want. And we the people are running from electric vehicles right now. They really are. Now, here, I'll read this article. Listen to this. It says, Daimler Truck North America, DTNA, has stopped selling heavy-duty diesel trucks in the state of Oregon over concerns that doing so would violate a new law, according to reports. It says on December 20th, 2024, Portland, Oregon, headquartered, DTNA issued a memo to dealerships in Oregon announcing that the truck maker would not be selling diesel trucks in the state for the foreseeable future. Now, it says the DTNA memo obtained by the local outlet states, it says, effective immediately, DTNA is pausing all orders for new internal combustion vehicles intended for registration in Oregon. It says the outlet reports that the decision to pause diesel truck sales in Oregon comes as a result of uncertainty over the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality's DEQ Advanced Clean Trucks rule that went into effect January 1st. So this rule already went into effect. It says this: modeled after a similar rule in California, Oregon's version of the Advanced Clean Trucks rule requires that 7% of new Class 8 heavy trucks that a manufacturer sells in Oregon in 25 must be electric powered. So the rule states that this year that we're in now, 7% of their vehicles that they sell have to be electric. So if you had, let's say, 10,000, right? If you had 10,000 vehicles, 7% of 10,000, which would be, 700? 700 vehicles would. So for every 100, 7 have to be sold electric. So for every 1,000, 770 have to be electric. For every 10,000, 700. For every 100,000, 7,000 vehicles have to be electric. And for every million, 70,000 have to be electric, if that makes sense. So who do you get to take electric if they don't want electric? If they know, listen, first off, the cost is too high for the electric vehicle. Second off, charging them and keeping them going is not feasible right now. You're trying to make people take stuff that just isn't worth it right now. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. In fact, I feel sorry because, when you sell a vehicle, the state tax that they charge on that vehicle helps the state, correct? Helps with their funding, new roads, government people being paid, all that stuff. That's what that money goes for. So what they're doing by now, the DTNA, which is the Daimler truck, whatever, they are now not going to be giving that state tax to Oregon. So Oregon's cutting their own throat because now they're not going to get that extra money from the sale of those vehicles. So, you know what I'm saying?
So it goes on to say that DTNA reportedly wasn't clear how the electric trucks credits would be counted. So rather than run afoul of the rule, the truck maker has opted to pause sales until Oregon DEQ can provide classification to avoid penalties. The Oregon DEQ says it is working on to clear up any confusion with the DTNA. So Oregon's trying to, make it more clear and maybe, tweak the rule or whatever the case is. But see, to me, what if you don't have a 7% demand? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What if you don't have a 7% demand? So that means somebody gets a kick in the ass. It's true. Somebody's going to have to bite the bullet, and Daimler's going to either have to force somebody to take something. And I guess in doing so, if I was all these trucking companies, I'd be like, no, we don't want it, right? And then Daimler would almost be forced to give them one for like half price or something. See, like if you offer me something to where it's a deal I can't refuse, then that's cool. But personally, if it's more beneficial for a trucking company to stay with fuel powered versus electric powered,
can the person go out of state to purchase the tractor and then come back in? Like if they live in Oregon, can they come out of the state, purchase it in the neighboring state, and then?
I mean, you're right, and that's true because it did say all vehicles sold in the state. So what if you, like you said, if you buy your vehicles somewhere else and even license them somewhere else, instead of being forced, they're trying to force people. You see, there's going to come a time though where they're trying to say that fuel-powered vehicles won't even be allowed in their state. Most likely, hopefully, we won't even be alive by then, just to see this be enforced on people. But who knows what the future holds? It's just crazy. I would have never thought I seen the day where electric vehicles were, and they are getting better, but I don't see them being in a tractor trailer. I don't see these vehicles being worth buying. And here's the other thing. Nobody knows the longevity of these batteries or anything. And I think that's probably why more companies are more scared of it. And I think the only ones that are really working with electric, like say Tesla and any other electric vehicle, is mainly probably city drivers. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot easier if you have a truck that's within a 100-mile radius running around and making deliveries and then coming back and being able to just go ahead and put it on charge and be done with it. That's one thing. But my gosh, to try, has anybody actually bought an over-the-road electric vehicle yet? I'm just wondering if actually anybody's using one. Just curious myself. If you are a company or somebody that's actually using over-the-road electric vehicles, I would love to interview you on our show. I would love to get your perspective on how these electric vehicles are really working on mountains, in especially winter, because Ruth Ann, we're being told Tesla is horrible if you try to own one up in the north and charge it. And I'm telling you, I'm hearing it from everybody that people that up north, if you don't have your vehicle inside, I'm hearing it's not easy to charge these things up in the freezing cold. So tell me, trucking companies, do you have a trucking company that has electric vehicles, and not just over-the-road ones? I'd like to hear from the over-the-road guys. I would love to interview you and pick your brain and tell me honestly, are you willing to come on here honestly and tell us how it really is working right now? Or let me ask you this, trucking companies, do you have a gag order from the manufacturers stating you're not allowed to really discuss this with the media or anything like that? Because, if it's not really good news, Ruth Ann, then it's not good news. But you haven't heard much about the actual results from these trucking companies that have electric vehicles. So I would like to hear from one. I would like to interview one. I'd like one to come on the show and tell us. And you know what? If it's good news, that's great too. But we just want truth.
Well, I know with Tesla, you can't have your heater running in the winter or you drain your battery faster. And so you're not going to want to be stuck in traffic. I don't know. It's the same thing for a tractor trailer, because let me tell you, if you're being in that truck all the time and you're sleeping in a rest stop and you're on an electric vehicle, you're going to be still wanting to run your heater in that cab while you're sleeping. So I don't know how well that will go. I really don't.
I just want one company to come on that's at least had these electric vehicles for 6 months to a year. And I just want to know, what are the averages right now? I want to know how far are you getting? How hard is it to find charging stations? How are they holding up in the winter? How are they? I know I seen one the other day. They were showing him going up a mountain and he was blown by like some diesel powered ones because they got a lot of power.
Right.
But stepping down on it that hard, I wonder how much power it drained trying to do that. Only a fool would want to go up the mountain at 1,000 miles an hour and lose a quarter of your charge.
Right.
Because when you mash down with 80,000 pounds, that's if you had 80,000 pounds. You're gonna run that battery down a lot faster. Anyways, Ruth Ann, that is my podcast. Remember, write to me, Troy at TalkCDL.com. Write to me, trucking companies, and anybody that's been running an electric semi. I want stats. I want to know what's going on. And write to Ruth Ann at TalkCDL.com if you want to be a sponsor, if you have a story to tell and you want to come on the show. Give her a call. Or write to her, rather. I apologize. And we'll go ahead and make the connection. Right now, we have some good interviews coming up. We got a forensic person that we're talking to about some of the serial killer truckers. Ever since we did the serial killer thing, we've got everybody wanting to come on the show with different things, Ruth Ann. And we've got this young lady, possibly, that we're going to be bringing on that has a little bit of a connection to the trucker serial killers. or the bodies or something like that, Ruth Ann? Something like that. Anyways, we'll reveal that in the future. Anyways, Ruth Ann, do you have the word of the day?
I do.
What do you got, girl? Is it the word? The word by Word Genius. They make us smarter every time. Go ahead to go over to Word Genius and sign up to get the free word of the day every day, not just once a week from Ruth Ann, but every day. And they are not a sponsor of the show. We just give them free sponsorship because we love, not because we love them, but because why, Ruth Ann?
Because it makes us smarter.
Because it makes us smarter.
Ingeminate.
Ingeminate?
Ingeminate.
Ingem, Ingeminate. You just did a perfect example of ingeminate.
Yeah, what's that?
Repeat or reiterate a word or statement, typically for emphasis.
What's emphasis? Oh, to emphasize on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you just did it for Word Genius. You just showed them their own definition.
I like to emphasize words.
Oh, you like to reiterate too.
All right. Well, that is the podcast. We're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.